Did you know that being a vampire hunter is a Vatican-approved vocation? Hey there, welcome to another edition of the Sunday Scaries. I'm your host, Mike, and today I'm going to be talking to you about John Carpenter's Vampires. And this is actually one of my favorite vampire movies. You know, I love John Carpenter. He's made a ton of great films like Halloween and The Thing and Christine, amongst some other ones. Big Trouble Little China, which isn't a horror movie really, but ton of great films that he's made. And this has always been one that has a special place in my heart. I do love vampire films. This is definitely more a Western, badass type vampire film. The film definitely has a bunch of scariness to it. It's definitely a very gory film, but it also has a little bit more of the action edge to it. And what I really like about it is it doesn't actually get too crazy as far as the plot. A lot of films, you know, they got to go all over the place. Can be difficult to follow, but this is straightforward. It's about this team of vampire hunters led by this guy named Jack, who's played by Jimmy Woods, and I love Jimmy Woods, especially 1990s Jimmy Woods, back in his kind of prime and heyday. But they're hunting vampires. They work for the Vatican. You know, they got a priest with them at all times, praying over the vampires that they kill. And they're fighting these very monster-like vampires. These aren't like your kind of more modern day where they really just kind of look like people and blend in and secretly get their victims and are all like suave and stuff. No, these guys, fangs are out. It's gory when they go for the kill. They're not really showing any personality. They're just monsters. And for that regard, I just have really liked this film. It's really easy to turn on, and I threw it on the other day actually, which is why I'm doing this review, and thought I'd share my thoughts. So there will be some spoilers heading forward, so just be warned. Now, to explain this film, I'm going to just focus on three main themes, but also talk about the story through my themes. And the first one is this whole fallen evil vibe that the monsters have. Now, the main villain is this master vampire called Valak, and as the story unfolds, it turns out he's like the first vampire. He used to be a priest in his earlier life, and he rebelled against the church. He performed this ritual that went bad, and it caused him to become a vampire. And, you know, I love this for a background as far as the origin story of a vampire. And there's so many different origin stories for vampires, but this one really sticks out to me because the disease is caused from someone's sins, someone turning to the dark side and becoming evil. And that has some extra spiritual weight to it that, you know, I've always just kind of connected with, even when I saw this movie, which for the first time I would have been about 10 years old. I was 10 years old when this movie came out, so I was a little young to see one this bloody and gory, but, you know, I picked up on that even as a 10-year-old, and it stuck with me. And Valak is a good villain too, because he's trying to complete this ritual so he can walk in the daylight and really be a servant of evil. And on the flip side, you have this team of vampire hunters who are actually employed by the Vatican, and they're hunting vampires all over the world. And because they work for the Vatican, it has this really good versus evil kind of vibe. And, you know, the Vatican also trying to stop something that in a way they caused, because he was a fallen priest, right? He's somebody from the Catholic Church, and, you know, they're trying to correct their wrongs by stopping this evil vampire as the story unfolds. And I just love that theme. And then I also just love the character of Jack Crow. And, you know, he's a unique hero in this because he kind of has symbolism for the theme of, you know, people of all different shapes and sizes can serve God and serve good. And he is this, you know, very damaged vampire slayer. His parents were killed when he was young by vampires, and he dedicated his life to trying to stop them. And as a result, he developed this bad boy persona. You know, he's wearing the leather jacket, he wears the sunglasses, the jeans, the boots, and, you know, he's walking around kicking vampire butt. He does not talk like somebody that goes to church every day and prays, even though he works for the Catholic Church. I mean, he BS's with the priests, you know, he calls them padres, loves to, you know, make fun of them, ask them, you know, did they get off on fighting vampires? Because a lot of the priests have never really encountered vampires before. And, you know, he just kind of carries himself like that. But you can tell that he really cares about not only revenge, but actually doing the right thing and protecting people. And there's sort of a softness in him. He knows the rules that they're supposed to follow as vampire hunters, but you know, he really does care about his team, even though, spoilers, in the opening sequence, most of them get killed in the first like 15 minutes of the film. He has this deep friendship with Daniel Baldwin's character, who does a terrific job as sort of the sidekick vampire hunter, you know, and he's continuously hunting vampires, you know, try to help people, try to protect people. And he knows most people don't know about vampires, and he's just trying to do the right thing by helping the church stop these evil creatures, which they are. They're completely evil in this. There's no moral dilemma. You know, once you become a vampire, you're not going to help anybody. You're just going to think about feeding and eating people. And Jack is that force of good to stop them, even though he doesn't walk around with a cross, and he uses some pretty bad language half the time, and he likes to BS with people. And what really brings his character all the way around is at the end of the film, you know, they've just beaten up all these vampires. They have more they got to kill as the sun's rising. And, you know, he makes a comment to the priest, hey, Padre, you know, it's just the two of us. Or it was just the two of us, you know, the night before. And in response to Jack saying it's just the two of us, the priest says that, no, he was with us the whole time. And Jack looks at the rosary and the cross, and he looks up at him, and he goes, fair enough, right? But the way he says it and the way he looks at the priest, you know, you can tell he believes. Like, he believes God was with them the whole time. And then he goes right back to his smart-ass ways and making fun of the priest, you know, for not fighting well enough or whatever the night before. So, and I just love Jack's character, and you know, his presence in it makes it such an easy watch and so much fun. And this is one I can rewatch all the time. And the final theme I just really like in this film is just this whole mercy that you see towards the end of the film as well. You know, early on in the film, you know, Jack's sidekick, he gets bitten by this vampire they take hostage who hasn't completely turned yet. And, you know, he knows he's going to turn into a vampire no matter what, and he hides it from him. And they get through to the end of the film, and, you know, it comes out he's been bitten, even though Jack's sidekick has saved his life that night and been a big help. And one of the rules as a vampire hunter is if your teammate ever gets bit, you're supposed to kill him. And you know, the priest is begging Jack to kill him now. He's turning into a vampire. You know, he can still walk in the sunlight because he hasn't turned entirely yet. But, you know, Jack kind of says to him, because he's been talking about needing a vacation, you know, take your vacation and I will give you a few days head start. But once those days are up, I will come find you and I will stake you, pretty much. And, you know, they give each other this hug. I think sometimes the hardest thing as human beings for us to do is show mercy in a situation where we have to, you know, do something hard. And at some point, Jack is going to have to kill his friend. But, you know, he knows he's been loyal. He knows he's been a good guy. He knows he's not completely turned yet. And he lets him go. And he knows that moment's going to come in the future. But, you know, it would have been a lot easier just to kill him right then and there. But he gives him that vacation. He shows him mercy. And, you know, that can be the hardest thing sometimes for us as human beings to do. All right, so I'm gonna get into the rankings, and while I don't think this is some kind of masterpiece per se, I do really like this movie. Again, it's simple, but it's well edited, it's well made, simple story, but it's executed well. The acting's really, really good in this all the way around by all the actors and actresses in it. So, you know, overall I give it a 4 out of 5. You know, it's not John Carpenter's top movie. I mean, and he's made some really, really good ones. But if I have to be honest, this is probably ranked around 4th as far as my favorite films of his. And again, he's a really accomplished director. There's definitely some ones that I would rank it above that maybe other people have more accomplished. But the only 2 movies I can for sure say are better than this one of John Carpenter's would be Halloween and The Thing. I would say Christine is probably a little bit better, though I'd really have to think on that because I think I enjoy this one a little bit more than Christine. But this is a terrific movie, and if I was doing a John Carpenter ranking, this would definitely be in the top 5, maybe even my top 3. I'd really have to think about that. But piggybacking off that, as far as the fun meter, I actually give this a 5 out of 5. And for nothing else, Jimmy Woods. I mean, he is so funny in this movie, just messing with the priest, messing with the teams. Even when he's down and out towards the end of the movie when they're fighting this big group of vampires, he's taunting the master vampire when he's in a pretty hopeless situation. And you know, his dialogue is just so like 80s and 90s. You can't really write a character like him anymore in today's world, but I just love the way he embodies the character. And I actually recently, right before this recording, I watched the episode of Entourage where Jimmy Woods plays himself, and at the premiere of Aquaman. And that's just Jimmy Woods at his best, just running his mouth and just giving people crap. And even when he was the voiceover in Hercules as Hades, you know, he did such a good job in that animated movie, and you don't even see his face. So again, I give it a 5 out of 5. Love the action, love the story, even though it's simple, and just love the characters all the way around. And anyways, guys, please subscribe and like. I always appreciate your comments as well in the comment section. Let me know what you think about John Carpenter's Vampires if you've seen it. Again, I think it's a great movie, but you might disagree. This is definitely one that I see people kind of rank all over the place as far as good films by John Carpenter. And with that said, all I know is at least I'm not a vampire hunter working for the Catholic Church.